Let's mark
Yes,
out.
y'all. Welcome back to another episode of On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. I'm your boy, Coyote, joined by none other than the administrator himself, Lewis. What's going on, Lewis? It's good to see you, bro. I feel like I haven't seen you in a minute.
Well, listeners, this is your boy Lewis, the administrator, like K Weezy said. I am back from the depths of hell, which was Hurricane Beryl. For those of you who are unaware, and if you've been living under a rock, Houston, Texas was hit pretty hard by Hurricane Beryl, knocking out essentially the entire power grid throughout the city of Houston. So my area got hit so bad, we went without electricity in this 110-degree heat for 6 days.
Lewis, you're right. It sounds like hell. It sounds like it sounds like.
But you know what? All jokes aside, the most important thing is that we were all safe and we managed, because some people had it a lot worse than me. And my thoughts and prayers go out to those who are still struggling. So the worst that I had from it was inconvenience. So I'll take that any day over imminent danger. So I'm blessed, and I'm glad to be back, man.
Good to be back, man. This is episode 59, bro. So we're trucking along, man, and it's SummerSlam season.
Oh yeah.
It's All In season too, man. We're coming up on All In August, which is shaping to be a pretty important show.
Yeah.
I just hope that with All In, they don't make it too predictable. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of matches that are supposed to happen that you might feel maybe are too predictable because those people are from that country, like Mariah May versus Toni Storm. Like,
I can see that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Will Ospreay having some match, right? He ain't losing in his home in his home country, right? So I just hope they book properly. That's all I'm saying. But we shall see as that card develops. And SummerSlam is starting to develop too. But before we get to SummerSlam, AEW had its 250th episode of Dynamite this past Wednesday. And we're going to bring to you, the people, the administrator's report.
All right. The administrator's report, AEW Dynamite 250. Before we get into the match of the year candidate, which was Will Ospreay versus MJF for the international title, let's get into some TV ratings. So, there was a whopping uptick. K-Weezy, you're not going to believe it. AEW Dynamite did 795,000. And that is a over 100,000 viewership increase from last week.
Nice. Okay.
So, all things considered, that's really, really good.
That's that's good. Now, is that good for a 250th episode of Dynamite? Could have been better.
Yeah, look, it could have been better, but given the state of AEW's television ratings over the last 3 to 4 months,
right,
which has seen a very steady decline, I think this is all good news. I mean, that's a very big uptick. And what better way than to increase your TV ratings, than having a match of the year candidate? You had essentially a stacked TV card, even though it was only 3 matches. But this is all good news for Tony Khan, because he seeks to lock in a new television rights deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. So if they could keep that momentum going into next week and the ensuing weeks going into All In and All Out, Tony Khan might see some big bucks coming his way, man.
Well, listen, man, AEW needs a win, right? They've been doing some great TV recently, but the viewers and the attendance in these arenas, Lewis, I gotta tell you something, man, and it's starting to bother me. It's starting to bother me. I digress a little bit from the administrator's report, right? The crowd size is becoming depressing. It's almost cavernous. Like, you can almost hear every single thing people are saying like, it's just not good. Like, it's just not good, right? For a 250th episode of Dynamite, you would think that place would be close to sold out, but it only sat 3,000 people. 3,000 people in an arena that can fit 18,000.
Wow.
Lewis, not a good look. It's so bad. Like AEW can't even take certain camera angles. They can't take certain shots. They got to darken certain areas of the arena just to give you the illusion that place is semi-packed. But everybody knows by now that it's not. But they can't even do shots. Like it's it's just not popping anymore, I guess, right? Well, Is that it?
Should they just start booking smaller venues? Because I don't think
venues, bro.
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense to book venues that exceed 5,000 people. Because if you know that you're not packing it the way you did during peak AEW television, which was 2021, 2022, and maybe early 2023, you're losing out on money essentially. And you're right. When I tune into AEW television, whether it's Dynamite, I mean, I don't tune into Collision per se, but I look at all of the highlights and whatnot. And like you, I'm paying very careful attention to the shots and the lighting in certain instances because it is very dark.
Very dark.
And it comes across as an indie show or even TNA, because, TNA has like very selective shots, but that's because they're, one, running smaller venues, and two, they don't have the budget that AEW or WWE has. But AEW's got the budget. They're just not filling the asses in the seats. So I don't know where we go from here, but and look, at the very least, they're doing decent numbers in their ratings. I was gonna hit the panic button if they would have consistently gone down to where we're now talking 400,000, 300,000. Like, I thought it was going to get to, like, eventually WCW levels.
Or collision numbers, basically.
Right. Or collision numbers, right. And you cannot have that because this is Wednesday night prime time. You cannot have it go below 600,000. And even 700,000 is nothing to raise the roof over. But it's still... It's where they want to be, seeing as how it's the median average for the TV viewership. Now, I do want to say this. Just because I'm giving you the administrator's report and the TV ratings and all of that, that doesn't paint that's only one set of the data. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't paint the entire picture. We all know television ratings in 2024 are not what they were in 1999. Viewing habits are different. People DVR. People outright don't watch it, and they'll just watch it on YouTube, social media. They'll that's how they get their fix, essentially. They're not there's many people that just aren't sitting there for 2 hours in real time. So that's why that metric of TV viewership, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt these days. But for a live television audience, that's good because they actually outscored NXT's numbers this week.
Oh, see, now that's good.
Yeah.
Right? If you're AEW, you want to beat NXT. Right? Like you
got right. You got to beat NXT.
But NXT's been on fire, bro. They've been doing some great TV. There's compelling stories. You got your boy Ethan Page as champion, who's actually really decent.
Yeah.
You just got a lot going on right now, man. And
we're gonna get to that. We're going to get to that whole WWE TNA dynamic.
Yeah, we're going to get to that WWE TNA relationship. But this episode 250 had some good stuff. And that good stuff was your boy MJF and Will Ospreay, probably, definitely match of the year candidate.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, possibly, which I've heard, could it be the greatest match AEW has ever put on? That's also talks. Those are also, and we're talking from psychology to the pacing to everything you saw, right? Could it be greatest match of all time in AEW? Also, what's been swirling around is MJF. All of the critics now need to shut up. Your boy is a made man. He is proven to be smart in the ring. He sells well. His psychology, the way, just the little things. Even Taz pointed it out, right? how he was watching the video wall, the video screen.
Oh, yeah.
And just pure, just smart. It's just smart. It's just smart. Everything he does is planned and makes sense. Even the moment he hits Ospreay with the ring, where there's 5 seconds literally left. So he hits him just in time, knocks him out, gets the 3 count right before the 1 set. It was just, it was outstanding. It was outstanding. And
it was.
Your boy MJF is only, he's not even 30, and your boy is doing some of the best work a wrestler could do. He's probably the best wrestler in the world right now. Probably.
Could make the argument.
But man, what a match, Lewis. What did you think? Because we were talking and we were like, yo, this is crazy. I didn't know it was going to go the full hour, but at the 45-minute mark, I was like, okay, they're going to go the hour. They're going to go the hour. It was just crazy, bro. I know you loved it. What'd you think?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. When it initially started, it was a little slow. And I said, you know what? This is atypically slow for a television match. Yeah. So something tells me that this is going to be at least a half hour of epic wrestling, right? But then once it got to like the 15-minute, 20-minute mark or so, it really started to pick up. And I'm like, oh, they're going for it. They're going for it here. And then once I see that it's past the 30-minute mark, I said they might as well just eat up the next 30 minutes and make it a 60-minute Broadway. 59 minutes and 58 seconds. You made that point. I don't think that most people expected him for the ref to hit the 3 count. We all thought it was just going to be another draw situation like AEW has done in the past. But a huge part of me actually believed that MJF was going to get the 3 count. I was like, they're gonna play up the suspense. Oh, the 60 seconds left, 30 seconds left, 20 seconds left. What's going on here? But when he hit him with the ring and got that pinfall, I was like, yep, that was perfect. And it couldn't have been timed more perfectly. With like 2 seconds left. Amazing.
2 seconds.
But I wouldn't say, I would probably have to give it some time and rewatch and reflect on it. I wouldn't outright say it's the greatest match in AEW history. However, in terms of television matches, I'm thinking back as you know, as best as my memory can think. MJF and Will Ospreay put on arguably the greatest match in Dynamite history.
Okay.
In the history of all of the matches that they've produced on television, I could probably say that this was number 1, or at least top 3.
I mean, Ospreay, Omega and MJF was a banger, bro. On Collision, that was another one,
and that's another one too. And when I'm thinking of overall matches that AEW's put on in their company history, especially with guys like Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, MJF, or even Hangman Page, let's not forget Grand Slam, the first Grand Slam, Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson, that 60-minute draw, classic. Yep. The battles between Bryan Danielson and Hangman Page. Yeah. Didn't they go 60-minute with a draw?
They went 60 minutes.
Yeah, so those are some of the greatest matches in AEW history. So that's why this past week's match, I can't really say it's number 1, but I might say that it's number 1 in the company's history. I mean, in the company's history for television.
Oh yeah,
but it was phenomenal. I mean, you got a little bit of everything. You had the acrobatics like you normally get in Will Ospreay's matches. You had the slick counters. You had the in-ring psychology, which MJF is so good at. And he just continues to prove himself over and over and over again. And we've already seen him do this in 60 minutes with the Iron Man match with against Bryan Danielson last year. Right. So we know he's capable of doing it. But now it just seems like he's so much more comfortable with having these kinds of matches. You even had this little girl in the crowd.
She got some chops in, bro.
She got her licks in that. I thought that moment was awesome, man. That was great.
Let me run something to you, Lewis, because I was listening to a lot of podcasts. I was listening, and a lot of people were saying they don't like that. They no one should be touching the wrestler, period. Even if the other wrestler, which Ospreay did, tell her to hit him. Because then in people's minds, right? And wrestling fans are crazy.
Okay.
They might think that it's okay to put their hands on you. And then the wrestler is going to punch you in the face. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
fair.
You gotta be cognizant of that. And I do agree. At first I was like, Ospreay's having fun. He picked a little girl, not a big kid, not like a big dude to do it. He picked a little girl who just, a couple of punches, and then he told her to stop and whatever or whatever. But you don't even want to throw that out there, that if I'm in the audience or if I'm climbing up the steps, that you can just do something to me, right? That should be something that is discussed in the back with producers and creative, so they know what to expect if you're going up into the audience and doing something like that. But yeah, man, it was a little girl, it was fine. She got her viral moment, you know what I'm saying? But you're teetering on like that, like
Keone, how do we know that it wasn't discussed? How do you know that wasn't strategic? That's the thing. The people that are saying that on the podcast, we don't know what the conversation was. They could have been scoping the crowd out from when the fans were filing in, and they might have picked a place where they were going to brawl and said, hey, what if we send a producer out there to talk to a fan or two and say, hey, you're going to be involved in the spot? We don't know that. I'm just speculating, but that's very possible. You know what I'm saying?
But the way it went down, it didn't look like that. The way it organically, from Ospreay's perspective, and how MJF reacted by giving her the finger. She didn't even look. She didn't even see him give her but he gave her the finger. And
he's supposed to do that. He's a heel.
Yeah, he's a heel.
Supposed to do that.
Just the way it went down didn't seem like it was something that was like pre-planned. It looked like it was like a spur of the moment. Ospreay saw a little girl, little fan. Hey, hit him. And the way she did it was like, I don't know. It just didn't seem like it was something that was planned. I don't know. It could be wrong. We could be wrong. We could be wrong.
We could be wrong. There's arguments for both sides, but I think it's all in good. Look, wrestling's been around for eons, bro. I mean, ECW was having fan participation shit where they would be like,
they were throwing chairs, man.
Yeah, let me get your chairs. I'm gonna have you hold him while I whack him with the chair. I mean, fan participation that's nothing new.
That's true.
I mean, it's not really anything new. Yes, it can be concerning.
Yeah,
but the crazy fan that runs in and attacks wrestlers, that's never gonna go away. We've seen that over and over, and since we were children.
And what happens to that fan? That fan
gets fucked up. You know what I mean? That fan gets his shit kicked in. Like that. That's just as simple as that. So you do that at your own risk.
At your own risk, Playboy. You
I mean, you want to be that psychotic, loony fan? Just know that you're gonna get your receipt.
Yeah, you're gonna get.
But that I'm so happy for that little girl, because guess what? That might have been the moment where she decides, I want to be a wrestler when I grow up.
That's true. We could be talking about her in 20 years, man. we could be saying, yo, that's the little girl that did some chops on MJF. Now, speaking of chops, does Will Ospreay get his receipt back at All In? Is it too soon to run it back?
It's not too soon. I mean, you got to sell tickets, right? So
got to sell tickets.
Currently, MJF doesn't have an announced match. Will Ospreay doesn't have an announced match. And they can run with the story that Will Ospreay was this close to retaining the title, like 2 seconds short. And also, it's a tainted win because MJF used that damn ring.
Right.
So that's a story that sells itself right there. And they can easily run that back. Easily.
They could run it back. So I think that might be, the match, one of the matches of the night on that card. MJF and Will Ospreay 2.
Oh, yeah.
And then I assume that Ospreay probably wins that match.
Probably.
Right? I assume that Ospreay goes over clean. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can't, because here's the thing. He lost to Swerve last pay-per-view. He lost to MJF on Dynamite. Swerve, your boy Ospreay needs a win. he needs a win, right?
Yeah.
He's on the losing. He's been on the losing. All the top guys, which makes sense. It's fine. I'm just saying, if Ospreay's supposed to be the second coming of like a Cody Rhodes in terms of being the mega baby face to lead your company on his home turf, he's gonna have to get that. He's gonna have to get that win back, that lick back. So, stay tuned. That might be the. But a lot of people are saying it's too soon. Maybe let's wait till next year when I don't know why, but you don't need to. Like the match in that rivalry is hot right now, so you go with it right now. In my opinion,
I'm not going with. I could be dead a year from now. I want to see this shit now. You know what I mean? Like
that's true, Louis. That's
true. You don't always have to. That's the annoying thing with wrestling fans sometimes. Like you don't always yes, there's long-term storytelling, but you don't always have to prolong something for that long. If 100%. It's hot, you can do a little bit of long-term storytelling, but you gotta strike. You gotta strike while the iron is hot.
Yep. And what's striking while the iron is hot, WWE is definitely taking advantage of this TNA working relationship.
Woo.
So I'm loving this.
Me too.
The only problem I have is what's TNA getting out of it in terms of WWE is a mega. They're a mega power. They're WWE, right? TNA is known. They're not WWE. They're not even AEW, but they're TNA, and they're cool. They got great wrestlers. Their stuff seems they seem to know how to present their product properly. They don't go into huge arenas. They make the stuff that they make their setting look big, right? And I believe this weekend is Slammiversary, which is a huge show.
Is that this weekend?
Yeah, this is this weekend. And I think from what I read, your boy Joe Hendry is possibly calling out John Cena, right? It's rumor. It's all rumor. But I didn't know anything about this Joe Hendry and singing his theme song and all that stuff. I didn't know anything about this guy until he landed in WWE. And I'm digging it. I'm digging the crossover because I'm learning about these people who I can't watch on TV because I don't have that damn channel, Louis. Who's got the channel? What channel is it? Destination America? Access? Like what? Where am I finding TNA? Like this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's Access.
Yeah. I don't have it. So the only way I'm going to be able to see you is if you walk through the NXT gates. Like I need to see you there. And right. I'm liking that WWE has been open to collaborating, but TNA needs a rub. WWE needs to kind of like throw some graphics on there or promote a Slammiversary or mention TNA more during broadcasts. Like they mention it, but to me it just seems like they're just saying it to say it rather than to kind of be like, yo, we're gonna give you a rub here, big time. But so other than that, I love it. I'm digging it. I think it's great for business.
Yeah.
I think WWE is definitely benefiting with the influx of people coming in and the type of and the matches they can have with these people. I just don't know how TNA is winning from this unless you send over some WWE people and which could happen at Slammiversary, by the way, if you're going to watch it.
Yeah,
which
that's what I was thinking.
Where there might be a little NXT invasion. Who knows? Some people show up and maybe now we got something. But Slammiversary, you know what? I think Slammiversary needs to be the pay-per-view where WWE now goes over there and shows some love. And then, maybe we could call it sort of even. What do you think?
Good point. I didn't consider the Slammiversary. So my thoughts are crossovers in wrestling are great. Yeah. Who doesn't want to see talent from another company on WWE or vice versa? So the Joe Hendrys, the Jordan Graces, what is it? The Rascals?
The Rascals.
Yep. Yeah. So all of those people, it helps TNA's product because now they are competing on on WWE television. That's a big deal, which in turn enhances their star power, which in turn enhances TNA's overall product.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more they show up on NXT, the more awareness the general audience has of TNA.
Yeah.
But you hit on a great point. It would be beneficial for TNA if WWE were to actually like mention TNA more, promote their pay-per-views and their television more. That's where I could see the business benefit behind it. Right. But as of right now, I think it was Bully Ray. Somebody had mentioned this. As of right now, WWE is benefiting more because when it's all said and done, when Jordan Grace's contract is up, when Joe Hendry's contract is up, you best believe that WWE has the best shot to sweep the rug from under TNA and just be like, hey, I'm getting Joe Hendry, I'm getting Jordan Grace. Yeah. Why don't you give me Josh Alexander, give me Moose, give me all your top guys once their contract is up, since they look good on NXT television.
And Lewis, you know what's crazy about that is that WWE is essentially giving these stars a sample test, a sample taste of what they could possibly get here, right? Like, it's organized, there's clear stories. Yeah. It's there's the catering is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like they are getting they are getting a sample taste of what they could possibly have and more. Once their contract is up. So this could be a very dangerous move for TNA also, right? Like, this doesn't guarantee any of them staying.
It's true. And to add to that, when you think of
also the money.
Yeah, the money, and you think of the lineage of NXT. NXT has a very rich history, and it's made quite a few big names in the industry. You can go down a really long list. Shawn Michaels, one of the greatest to ever do it.
Running the place.
Like, that is a big, big sell. So it's essentially good for the talent who's crossing over. But what does it do for TNA as a whole? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. It might give TNA a little pop on a pay-per-view buy or a rating, but essentially you're kind of, you're the smaller company. You're kind of like giving your stars on this company an opportunity to see what the other side looks like, and the other side is pretty damn nice. I'm not gonna lie. The other side, they got potpourri in the bathroom. Eucalyptus soap, like I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's popping over there. So we shall see. I hope something happens at Slammiversary that is newsworthy, where WWE shows up. You know what I'm saying? But showing up is your girl, Stephanie Vaquer. Now, Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie Vaquer signs with WWE. And was this the right move? Yes, absolutely. I think it was the right move. I think it was the right move because I think AEW would drop the ball with her. I think we'll see her for 6 months, and then she'll just fade into the background like a ghost. You know what I'm saying?
Deonna Purrazzo.
Deonna Purrazzo, bro. She's you know what, Lewis? It's funny you said that about Deonna Purrazzo. I
know what you're gonna say.
I accidentally tuned into Collision, and I saw her on Collision, and I was like, oh, this is where she's been. Lewis, I forgot she was even on the roster. Like, she was off TV. She was off Dynamite so long that I didn't even remember that she even showed up in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So that's what would have happened to Stephanie. I like the move. I think there's some interesting matchups. I like her moveset. I think she's a great wrestler. I don't know if she could speak English, and I haven't even heard her speak. But I think it's a good move. I think she'll make the most money in her life. She'll travel the world. She'll make major connections. And if WWE loves you, if they love you, you're a lifer and you're set. So If she impresses people and she's good to work with and she's not causing no issues and she's continuously growing and growing and growing, they're going to take care of her. So I think it's a good move. I think it's a very good move. And AEW, they would have used her and just kind of just dumped her away somewhere, man. Put her on Rampage or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's a good move, man. What do you think?
I would have loved to have seen her sign with AEW because AEW has made some very good strides in the women's division over the past year. I mean, let's give credit where credit is due. The women's division in AEW is in much better shape than it was 6 months ago or
that's
8
true.
months
I would give you that. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true.
So, and I think she would have been a wonderful addition. I didn't really know much about Stephanie Vaquer prior to the build up to the match with her and Mercedes. Mm-hmm. So then, I started looking at clips on Instagram and whatnot, and right away, Star screamed right at me. And then she showed out with the match against Mercedes at Forbidden Door, and it was really a star-making performance on, I guess, on an American level. I don't want to say North America because she was obviously wrestling in Mexico, but on the American scale. And Mercedes had mentioned that was the intent. That match was supposed to, quote unquote, make Stephanie Vaquer so that she could get a lucrative deal with either AEW or WWE or, wherever. I read that she was actually on the verge of signing with AEW until Shawn Michaels personally called her at like the 25th hour.
Yeah.
So, Shawn Michaels knew what he was doing. So, I mean, good for him. And it's like you said, she going to provide a better life for herself. Not that she wouldn't have gotten good money in AEW and worked less dates, but if you really want to make yourself a global superstar, WWE is the place to go, especially because the UFC, brand recognition with the merger, and then you also have Triple H running in. It's no longer a Vince McMahon thing. I think it's a good move. Now she is going to go to NXT. That's for sure. 100%. So NXT has her and Julia on the horizon. So those are two very well-known women on the international scene. So that NXT is just going to get even better. I've really taken a liking to Stephanie Vaquer. She's a fine looking woman. I'm just going to say that right now. She's fine.
Well, she's bad.
But even apart from, sex appeal, there's a charisma to her and a confidence to her that I really like. The way she walks, and even if her English is limited, she just oozes confidence. Yeah, and I think that's the key right there. Yes, you want sexy, right? Like because that's what it is. Like you want sexy, but you also want confidence and good in-ring work. She almost carries herself like a Charlotte Flair. Like that type, you know what I'm saying?
That would be an interesting program right there. Charlotte and Stephanie.
You know what I mean? Like she just has that swagger. She's got that flair, no pun intended. But I'm excited to see what she does.
Yeah, man. I think again, I think it's a good signing by Shawn. Like you said, he called at that 25th hour. Your boy was like, "Yo, listen, this is what we got. This is what we would love to do with you. This is what we want to give you. Are you down?" And I think whatever he said in full detail was like, "See, yes, I'll do it. Yes, sign me up. Sign me up." And again, I agree with you. There would have been some really good, interesting matchups in AEW as well. And I'm not closing the door in AEW either, right? We got to see how Stephanie is presented, and maybe Stephanie don't like it. Maybe she's not feeling it, and after the contract is gone, she's going to AEW.
Yeah, that's a possibility too.
But you know what? Let's see what happens. I got some confidence. I wrestling wise, she's a very good wrestler. I don't know on WWE programming who on NXT could match with her style that would make it look that she wouldn't overshadow so much, right?
Yeah.
Because the NXT chicks are they're good wrestlers. They're good. They're not great. that's why they're in NXT. You know, they're learning still. But Stephanie is a seasoned performer. She can wrestle. So I'm trying to figure out, is she going to overshadow, overpower, and make those women look bad? Or does she have to dumb down her style? Like, I'm just very curious on how they're going to present her and Julia, because and I don't know much about Julia, but I'm assuming she's a very good wrestler. So yeah, we shall see, man. It's gonna be an interesting few months, man. To see how they put her on. I believe Stephanie also was doing some like live shows or something like that, right? Like I saw some footage of she's already been out. So
yeah, she debuted in Mexico City when WWE was doing their tour.
Yeah, they're not wasting any time. So
right, they're not wasting any time.
So I'm assuming she'll be on. I'm assuming we'll see her on NXT within the next couple of weeks. She has to be, right? Or do you think they wait?
She probably will make her first appearance like they typically do with her in the crowd at the next NXT PLE.
Okay.
Which is what, No Mercy?
No Mercy. Yeah. Did Heat Wave happen? So yeah, No Mercy. I think it should be No Mercy.
Yeah, so I can see something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we shall see, man.
She might pan out better than Jade Cargill, but that's another conversation for another time.
Oh man, she might pan out better than Jade. You don't think Jade has cut it? Is that what you're saying? You don't think Jade hasn't done anything for you yet?
I think the writing might be on the wall, my friend. Like I said, we're gonna have to table that discussion for the next episode. But
yeah, we'll see what happens.
The writing may just be on the wall for as far as like in ring work is concerned.
Yeah. I think what you see is what you get, and I honestly don't know if it's gonna get any better. But you know, I'm curious to see what happens with her at SummerSlam, if they give her anything, and then that I'm gonna use to be like, okay, I think this is it. This is the Jade we're getting. So we shall see, man. But thank you guys for joining for another episode 59 of On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Watch us or listen to us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Listen, man, we out there. So keep supporting, keep watching, keep just enjoying the content. And we're just two dudes just chilling, watching wrestling. That's all we doing, Lewis. Just watching wrestling.
Yep.
All right. Lewis, have a good one, man. Thanks for joining the show.
Peace out, everybody.
You've been listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, a Scriptly adapted production. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube at On the Mark Wrestling, and email us at onthemarkpodcast@gmail.com.